So, welcome to Tori with a Story podcast. We have a very special guest here with us, Nico from the Exit Games Wilmington. Welcome on in.
Hello. How are you,
I'm
Miss
so
Betty?
excited. I'm good. I'm so excited to have you here, our first official guest on the pod.
Yes.
So, it'll be
Oh my
very
gosh, wait, that I
exciting.
feel so honored. That's actually so cool.
Yeah. So, we want to get to know about you a little bit more before we get into the Exit Games.
Okay.
How was it going into the industry and how did you get started?
Oh, that's a good question. I applied to multiple escape rooms the week I got to college. So that was back in 2019. Moved to Wilmington, went to UNC Wilmington more specifically, and I was like, I need a fun job because I know school is going to be stressful, living away from
Mm-hmm.
home for the first time. And I had done a few escape rooms under my belt, but nothing too crazy. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Like, let's do it. So I reached out to 3 escape rooms, and thankfully, within like 20 seconds, Tay and Josh reached back out to me and they were like, yeah, we actually are hiring. And within a week, we did a FaceTime interview. And of course, you get all dressed up for an interview, everything like that. But I
Yeah.
knew that I immediately would click with them when they said, hey, you can actually just show up in your PJs. And I was like, thank the
OMG.
Lord. Yes, thank the Lord. So, literally in my dorm room, they were just asking me questions. They ask really weird questions
Yeah.
for the escape room, like all the way to Josh asked me what my favorite tree was. I don't
I
understand
love
why he asked all those questions, but it's stuff like that. And I was like,
it. Yeah.
okay. But within, I think, 10 minutes of the interview, they were like, yeah, we like you. Let's get you on the team. And I've been there ever since. So it's going to be 6 years in August.
Oh wow, happy six.
Yeah,
That is
thank you.
crazy.
Yeah, so that's how
That
I
is
found
so
Tay and
funny.
Josh, was just reaching out to them, and I've just been there ever since.
That's so cool. So you're kind of like one of the OGs, like
Literally,
low
no,
key.
they consider me an OG, even though they were open for a few years before I got there. I think they
Uh-huh.
were open for about 2 years, and I
Oh,
have just
okay.
been there for so long. Like everybody else on the team came in after me, so they now just
Hmm.
consider me an OG, and I'm like, this is so weird. I feel old.
I
Like,
yeah, I would classify you as an OG. I say the same thing at my location. I'm like, wait, I'm an OG because I'm like one of the older hires
yes,
there. So I'm
mm,
like technically an OG.
yes.
I love that though. So what was the hiring process like when you first got on?
Oh, so basically they did like the traditional like Indeed ad, everything like that, but I didn't even approach it that way. I think I just composed a very generic email, found their emails on all of their websites and everything, and just sent it there. And then they were like,
Hmm.
hey, like, this is how it works, yada, yada, yada. But because you reached out to us directly, we'll just get you started very soon, like with the interview, with everything like that.
Hmm.
And then as soon as I was hired, the first day they kind of just throw you into the deep end. They're like, okay,
Oh
cool, so
yeah.
you're going to get the speech, you're going to get the puzzle flow for a specific room, this is how you turn everything on. Within
Hmm.
a week you should have everything ready. And I was like, oh my god, because all previous jobs, like, like in the restaurant industry, you have like 5 days of training before you're like put on
Yeah.
solo, or you have 10 days of training before you're put on. They're like, no, like, we kind of need you to get ready now, as soon as possible. And so the first room that I trained on was, it's our one of our older rooms that is retired, but it was Nightmare on Front Street.
I
And with
saw
that,
that on Morty and I was like, what is
yes.
this?
So Nightmare on Front Street is, yes, it's a nod to Nightmare on Elm Street, but it was one of our first horror rooms, and they had me train on that. So there was no live acting in there or anything like that. It's more of a generic, give you the speech, this is what it is, this is what you do.
Okay.
But they had me train on that first, so get the speech down first within probably a day, puzzle flow within
Wow.
the next day, and then had me shadow for the next like maybe 2 days, and then they were like,
Hmm.
"You're ready to rock and roll." I was like, "Oh, good," because one day I walked in at like 3:30 for a 4 o'clock
Hmm.
room, and one of the previous game masters that was training me, she looked at me and she said, "You're doing this room," and it was 8 people,
Whoa.
which it seemed overwhelming at first, but now I prefer larger groups. That's just the thing.
Yeah.
Um, but as soon as I got there, they're like, yeah, you're going to do this room. And I was like, okay. I remember so vividly getting to like the front desk in our lobby. And I was like, hi guys, my name is Nico. Welcome to the X Games. You guys are taking on Nightmare on Front Street. And I blinked. And I was like,
So real.
so I like screamed for our game master. I was like, how does this start again? And she said like
Oh,
one or two words.
geez.
And then I was able to go. I was like, we're good.
Oh,
We're good.
okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
It,
but
it's
that's,
definitely definitely a little bit scary, like first game master, because you
Mm-hmm.
have like you are the start of the game, and you have so many eyes looking at you, being like, "Tell me what to do," especially like newbies. You're like, "Okay,
For
tell me what to
sure.
do," and you're like, especially
Yeah,
starting out. So I
for
definitely get
sure.
that.
Yeah, and even after almost 6 years, like when we get a new room and everything like that, we still have to like retrain and everything. And
Oh yeah.
no matter how many times like I've trained on a new room and everything like that, the majority of the time when I do my first speech is in front of Tay and Josh, which like I'd rather do it in
Nice.
front of strangers.
Mhm.
But when it's
Mhm.
Tay and Josh there, I'm like, y'all literally wrote the script, y'all made this room, so I have to, and I'm like one of the OGs, so they have
Yeah.
those expectations of like, you'll get this
Mhm.
down. And if I, God forbid it's never happened, but if it ever did, they'd be like, Nico, get it, what the hell, like get it together.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That is
but
so funny.
yeah, so training is very quick at the X Games,
Uh-huh.
all the way down from what you see in the rooms and everything like that, all the way to like behind the scenes of like, of course, handling phone calls, payments, all that jazz,
Yeah.
getting the bookings ready. It's very, very, very quick.
Oh, love it. So, since you were there since the beginning, what were the new rooms that had opened up while you were there, and how was that to see like a new game like unfold and be built?
Alrighty, so when I first got to the X Games, they only had 2 rooms.
Okay.
So they had 2 rooms in Wilmington. So they had Casino Heist, which is
Mhm.
our oldest room. It's almost 9 years old. And
Oh
we
wow.
had Nightmare on Front Street, which we only kept for about a year or so. It
Okay.
was actually just supposed to be a Halloween game. So it
Oh,
was
I
supposed to
see.
only be like a month or two, but it
Mhm.
blew up super fast. So we were like, you know what, let's just keep it. And my favorite aspect, this is not a spoiler, it's not going to ruin anything because it's
Uh-huh.
retired, but one of my favorite aspects of the room is it was a multi-room experience. So you started in one room, had to go into the second room. But in order to get into the second room, you would open a closet door, and at the bottom was a full-size coffin, and you had to pull it out on wheels, put somebody in the
OMG.
coffin, close the door, and push them into the dark room
That is crazy.
in order to let the rest of the group in. So I remember that for about a year, year and a half or so. And I think the next rooms that they decided to bring to life was based off the room Servants of Slight down in Florida. And
Mhm.
they decided to bring White Rabbit Society and Doggone Alley at the same time, just bam bam. So those 2
Okay.
rooms replaced Nightmare on Front Street. I think they got White Rabbit Society finished first. If you didn't know, Josh is a huge, huge fan of magic, magicians, all that jazz.
Heard.
And
Yeah.
so that's what Servants of Sight was just a nod to his love for magic.
Mhm.
And that probably was released, oh gosh, I should probably know this date, but I don't, but it's fine.
That's okay.
Basically, it probably came out like a year and a half after I started working there. So she has been
Okay.
there for probably 3, almost 4 years now. Um, but I remember doing that room so vividly for the first time. I walked
Yeah.
in and I was like, oh my God. Like, I didn't think that, because also Tay and Josh, with their love for escape rooms, the amount of detail that they put into it is
Yeah.
out of this world. Yeah, so they were able to bring those rooms to life for White Rabbit pretty quickly. I remember doing it so vividly for the first time and just loving it. And I was like, this is what escape rooms are all about. I finally get it.
Yeah.
Because, like, with Casino, it's like your more traditional style escape room where it's the numbers, get the code, move on to the next.
Mhm.
But with White Rabbit, there's a ton of, like, tech elements where you do one thing to open something on the other side of the room. And that's where it was like, oh, the room has now officially come to life.
Yeah.
Yes, and so then about a month or two later, they were able to knock out Doggone Alley, which is my personal favorite just because it's so cute.
It
And
is so cute.
yes, it's super cute. You're literally saving a dog. Like, who thinks of that for an escape room? It's so cute.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also our tiniest escape room. I think it's the smallest room in Wilmington,
Oh, really?
square width wise. Yes. So, I remember doing that room vividly with just one other person and rocking out all the puzzles. And in that room to this day, that room has probably one of the best aha moments for a
Uh-huh.
puzzle, because one of my favorite types of puzzles is when you forcefully have to change your perspective. So, like, you could be doing this, you finish it, and you think it's going to trigger something, and you're like, okay, rude. And when it doesn't do it, you're like, okay, like, let me think this through. And as a game master, I've used to changing my perspective. So like when I was able to do that with it's one of the end puzzles in Doggone Alley, I remember looking up at the camera and going, holy shit. Just be like, holy shit, that's good. That's really, really good. So that's probably one of my favorite parts of probably all of our rooms is Doggone Alley, just because a lot of people underestimate it, just because it is ranked, I believe, a 6 out of 10 on difficulty. Just because it's a linear flow, the type of puzzles are, in my brain, easy to grasp, but there's still sometimes where people are like, is this really what we have to do? And I'm like, yes, do it. But Doggone Alley has my heart. So with all the training and everything like that, with Nightmare on Front Street, probably about a week. We just rock it out. Casino Heist took a little bit longer because that room is very non-linear, if you remember. Yes. So we just have to train a little bit longer for that room because people can choose to go any direction they want, and you kind of just have to go with the flow and just understand like this is why they're going the way they are. But then with White Rabbit, about a week as well. Doggone Alley was actually a little bit shorter. That was probably about 3 days, just because it's a small room, linear flow, very quick speech. But yeah, with those rooms, that was really cool to see. And then just being able to see everybody new coming in and learning the rooms and being like, you were in the same shoes as me probably about 2 years ago. This is just so interesting to watch.
Yeah, I love that. So what's your approach to game mastering? Are you more hands off, or are you more proactive with like hints and stuff?
Totally. So with Tay and Josh training and other game masters training me beforehand, they want us to approach it as a hands-off experience, just because we want our players to get that full experience of having that connection with puzzles and like how they work. Of course, that's not how it works with every room, which is okay. Which is okay. Like everybody has a different thought process doing escape rooms. Like we have med students come in with a very logical approach, but if you put them in to White Rabbit, it may not work. It's just this, that's just how it is, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, you're gonna have to stretch your brain to the right instead of the left. It also depends on how well I click with a group. So like there might be some groups that come in and it's their first time ever, they might be a little quiet, and I am out there. Like I just kind of go balls to the walls. This is how it's gonna be. I'm giving you my full act, whether if it's at our Princess Street location or if it's just, hey, this is what you're doing for this room. You can kind of also gauge as a game master, like just by asking a few general questions, like, I think they'll be okay with freebies, or like, hey, I'm gonna hold off because I feel really good about this group. But that also may change within 5 minutes of the room. You may have an expectation where we've had groups come in and they're like, I had one guy come in and he said he specifically had done 120 escape rooms. I was like, hell yes, like you're gonna rock it out, you'll do good.
Easy game.
Yes, easy game, we're good. And then within 5 minutes I was like, I hate to say it, but I think I'm gonna have to give you like the starter push of like where to start. But as soon as you give them like more of like a nudge, they're like, okay, we get it. They were able to get the ball rolling, and he showed why he has done 120 escape rooms. It was just getting started for a second. I believe he did White Rabbit, and if you remember White Rabbit, you are given everything from the get-go. Like literally everything visually. So just getting started is the hardest part. But with game mastering, it could be how well you click with the group. It could be some groups come in and they make it very direct, like, we don't want freebies, and we're like, okay, I'll respect that, and I'll either watch you absolutely rock it out, or I'll watch you crash and burn on camera. Like, it's gonna be entertaining. It's gonna be entertaining regardless which way it goes. But for me, game mastering, we have a preset of clues. So that's also part of the training process, is we do a mock room where probably Josh goes in and he's like asking for clues for every single puzzle. So I've done that. Yes, so we learn like what to send. Because in like 3 of our escape rooms, we have like the monitors, like the traditional monitors with the timer where we send the
Yes.
clues through a computer. At our Princess Street location with our newer rooms, 2 of the rooms have iPhones. So we communicate with you via iPhone. We'll send you a text. I'll send you a text back. With Outage, we have a microphone, which is very different for all of the game masters at the X Games.
Yeah.
Just all we have been used to is being able to send a clue on a computer. But then with Outage, if you remember, we have to give almost like a country twang
Yes.
clue.
Frankie, is it still Frankie?
Yes, Frankie McStank.
Frankie.
Nod. It's a nod to Josh's father and Tay's father-in-law. It's a nod to him. I think he's tied into almost every room. But
I love that.
yes, it's super cool because I just had it for the first time ever. Somebody did Outage and then they did Hangover at RSU, and they made the connection of, oh, Frankie is also in this room as the dean, but you're playing the role of Frankie McStanky as the construction worker at Outage at Vacancy. So that's really cool to see, like, when people find like the little Easter eggs through the rooms. But yeah, just to sum it up, game mastering totally depends on the vibe of the people, because they may be super social with you, so you feel way more comfortable to ask, like, hey, are you cool with freebies, or do you just want me to hold off? But with other crew members, you have no idea, so you just kind of have to use your knowledge as a game master whether to send them a freebie or not. Like, you can also gauge, like, if they're falling behind, if they're way ahead. But I truly think it depends on how well you connect with your group from the get-go.
100%. Yeah, with enthusiasts especially, usually the ones that come into Doldricks, they're like, no clues, don't say anything at all. And I'm like, okay. And then there'll be something like they need to try that lock again.
Yeah.
And then for us, we have microphones, so I'm always scared to go on the microphone and be like, not a clue. I say not a clue, but like try that again. And they're like, okay, thank you. And I'm like, okay.
Sure.
You know?
That's happened many times with us. It's like, we'll tell groups, like, how do you feel about freebies? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know, like, we'll definitely ask if we need the help. And I'll go ahead and say, like, if I do give you a freebie at any point, it's going to be just to either double check a lock or you're super close, try another lock in the room. And we'll tell them very clearly, like, it's not a clue. Like, don't count it as a clue.
Yeah,
like, okay, we feel a lot better then.
Yeah. So that's so cool. So you do have 2 locations. Do you guys like walk to the locations from one, or you just set at one location for the day?
Yeah. So when we get our schedule, we're usually set on one location for the day. So there is 7 of us currently at the X Games, and when we get our schedule, we'll either be put at our Princess Street location or we're put at our OG Front Street location. Thank the Lord, they are literally right around the corner from each other. They're in the heart of downtown Wilmington. But we do also have what is called floater on-calls, and we are beyond blessed with that situation, because since we are so close in location-wise, if we need one person as a floater for like a 12 p.m. room, but then they're needed at the 1:30 room at our other location, they're literally able to walk right around the corner and go help that out. So with me, I am predominantly, I would probably say it's an even split for me between the Front Street location and our Princess Street location. So like Princess Street has Casino, White Rabbit, Doggone. Usually I'm there during the weekdays. On the weekends, I'm usually at Princess Street, where it's Outage, Hidden Needle, and RSU. And that's just because some people with game mastering, they're more comfortable with bringing characters to life with our Princess Street location. And then at Front Street, we're able to deal with rooms booked back to back to back to back to back. And people are more comfortable with that because they're able to jump very quickly between rooms. Give you the traditional, hey, this is what you're doing, here's the rules, go. So with the scheduling and everything like that, it's definitely an even split for all of the game masters. We do have one newbie. She's been there for about a month or 2. She's still learning the rooms at Front Street. She's almost done. But she's predominantly sticking at Front Street, but we are all super excited to see how she welds into a new game master vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
With the Princess Street location, just because you have to get up in costume and everything like that. So that's going to be very interesting.
how was it for you to be able to go into that characters in the Princess Street location?
So it just gives a whole another reason for why I love working as a game master. So I
Yeah.
remember when it was just predominantly Front Street, doing the same thing every day, I was getting a little nervous. I'll be honest. I was getting a little nervous just because I was like, holy shit, like this is what I have to do every single time. But thankfully, we have a new group that's drastically different from the last every single time that they walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was able to keep the vibe in the escape room alive, if that makes sense. As soon as I found out we were going to use the location, I got excited. And Tim and Josh said we were going to be bringing these characters to life. I was immediately nervous just because I was able to get excited about telling groups about the storyline for especially like Dog and Alley or White Rabbit. Like that was always like super pumped up. But being able to get into these characters where, for example, RSU, we are playing the role of your resident assistant or your RA in a college dorm room. When I was introduced to these characters between Hidden Needle and RSU, when I did RSU, I was like, oh, I feel like a little punk. Like, I don't know if I like this. It just doesn't feel right for me. This doesn't feel right. As soon as I did my first RSU speech, I was like, oh my God, this is my gig. This is my gist. This is what I'm supposed to to. And you can tell between all the game masters that bring the characters to life, you can see which ones they gravitate towards the most. So a handful of them love to do Hidden Needle Tattoo Parlor because we're playing the role of a tattoo shop manager. We're kind of almost not even an interview, it's like interrogating. That's what it feels like. We're basically interrogating you of like, are you fit for this job? And we're kind of almost like douchey to you. But for some people, that is their niche. Like that's what they love. And when people give it back to us, that's when it truly comes alive. Like that's when we're like, okay, we're doing the right thing. With RSU though, I'm able to be like a little passive aggressive, nerdy, like stuck up your butt, panties in a wad, like everything everything under the sign of like y'all need to get this taken care of. And I think that's where I truly was like, oh my God, I love this. Like this is what I'm meant to do. So whenever I see I'm like put on Princess Street for RSU, I'm like, hell yes, like I'm excited. But then like for other game masters, for Outage No Vacancy, it's just a very drastically different character from the last two rooms that you learn to host. Just because we all have to delve into that southern twang where for us it's like this is so out of our comfort zone. Some of us have grown up in North Carolina, so we naturally have that southern twang growing up. And we tried so desperately hard to get rid of it. And so when we have to go back into that southern twang, we're like, oh my God, like it's like an earache. But but it's fine because like we only do it for like an hour and a half at a time because of like the group giving clues, but people eat it up. So like as long as people are vibing with it, loving what we're giving them, it's all worth it for sure. So out of all the rooms, when I have to come into character, it would definitely be Hangover RSU. It's just
that one was my favorite. I absolutely loved it, and going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I read a little bit of like the vibe on Morty, but seeing that was a new room that opened up at the exit games, I was like, okay, that's gonna be my 200th room. And like, no spoilers, not really gonna read anything about it, but I went into it kind of flying blind. I told my sister like kind of what the theme was, and it's like a dorm room style. But going into it, I had no idea that was going to be what it was. And the Isabel was my game master.
Oh
and
my God,
absolutely
I love her.
Amazing.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, get her an Emmy award because she was absolutely amazing. She was so sweet, so nice, and everything flowed and made sense. And I was telling Tay, because I saw her at the coffee shop, like Hangover needs to be in Clearwater. Like that's a Clearwater level game.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
For sure, yeah, and the cool thing is, obviously, Tay and Josh are obviously in the escape room industry, so they have friends from other escape rooms, and so we were able to bring Out of No Vacancy to life through the help of another escape room company called Escape Ventures with Derek and CJ. They're absolutely awesome. And when they came and helped us bring the room to life for Outage, we were like, well, you have to play Hangover. Like, why not?
Yeah.
And so when they played it, like, I was their game master, which was already a little nerve-wracking because I was like, I have to be this character in front of them. But of course they ate it up. We already knew each other from before, and so we were able to vibe really well. And as soon as they finished the room, I think it was Derek that was like, why the hell is this not down in Florida? And we were like, the reason we brought it to life in Wilmington is because of UNC Wilmington. That's like the sole purpose of it. And we wanted something drastically different for the Wilmington location compared down to Clearwater. I think it would take a ton of convincing to put something similar to Hangover and RSU down in Florida. Do I think it would be a great hit? Absolutely. But I think they just want to keep it solely for Wilmington. That's our baby. Like, we want to keep that. But yeah,
I definitely think the enthusiasts will eat up Hangover and like want to fly over down to Wilmington specifically to play that one. Do you get that a lot where enthusiasts are like flying over to play at North Carolina after playing Clearwater?
For sure, yeah. They usually play in Florida just because I don't even know, like the level of escape rooms in Florida are above and beyond compared to rooms in Wilmington. Just because it's more of a competitive aspect down in Florida of like, well, it's like secretly competitive to have the best room. Like, you're going for the Terpeco Award, you're going for the Morty reviews, you're going for that vibe. And it also is, you can see the love for escape rooms come to life way more, in my personal opinion, down in Florida. Like Orlando, Clearwater, Tampa, everything. But we sometimes, like at least once or twice a month, we get groups calling and say, hey, we've played your rooms down in Florida. What are the rooms like in Wilmington? And we were very transparent with them. We're like, hey, like some of our rooms are inspired by the rooms down in Florida. They're pretty similar puzzle flow wise. There might be a few things here and there that are a little bit different. But people love the room so much that they still want to do it. We're like, okay, cool. Like, if you still want to do it, we are more than excited to host you, just because for Service of Slight, it's a tie between Doggone Alley and White Rabbit, where I think it's like 5 or 6 rooms. But just because of the size, in Wilmington, both rooms are one room.
Yeah.
So we make that clear to them too. That's something we also make very transparent. It's like, it's only a one-room experience, but it's still jam-packed with puzzles. It's still great. We still encourage you to do it. And when they ask about the new rooms that we have at Princess, we're like, the only room that you might find familiar is Hidden Needle, because it's based off the room Pins and Needles. It's definitely a different storyline.
Yeah.
But the puzzles are a nod to the rooms down in Florida. But we always push groups that have played our rooms down in Florida. We always push them to do Hangover at RSU, just because it is completely new. We always push for them to do it. They always we do have groups get hesitant because they hear clean a dorm room. What the hell? And we're like, it's not just that. It's not just that. Trust and believe. Like, that's just like the bare minimum of it. It's like, there are certain puzzles where you're like, I would never think this would tie to an escape room, but it makes sense because it's in a dorm room. It's in a college escape room. So we always push for that. And then with Outage, like we said, we were able to bring it to life through Escape Ventures. So they're like, oh, like, I believe they have a similar room for Orlando. And we're like, yes, there was a similar room. They actually helped us bring it to life, which we're incredibly grateful for. It actually is a different storyline. There's a few puzzles in here that are very different. And we still push for them to do it. But when groups call and they're like, hey, we played our rooms down in Clearwater, don't get me wrong, we are still, I guess, wanting to receive the same expectations from Florida and our Wilmington location. We are still proud of the rooms down in Florida. That will never ever go away. But because of the rooms down in Florida being so expressive and large, and just, I think some of our rooms are 90 minutes down in Florida. Being able to cram that into a 60-minute room and still getting the same enthusiasm and just expecting the same caliber of the escape room. We're always a little apprehensive about it, but the second that they get there, I'm like, you know what? they're gonna love it. Like, I already know it. Like,
Yeah.
we're confident in that because Tay and Josh, with their love of escape rooms, we are confident as a crew. We're gonna bring it hard. We're gonna bring it good, and it's gonna be just as good as they're in Santa Florida.
Yeah, as an enthusiast and game master myself,
Yeah.
I love the exit games, and anything the exit games does, like, they can do no wrong. So
Yeah.
when Tay and Josh came to play at Doldricks and they played Crazy Train, I was like, oh my god, wait, I'm such a big fan, like, I really want to go down to North Carolina. And she was like, just so you know, to be very transparent with you, love my games in North Carolina, but it doesn't really compare to the ones in Florida.
Oh,
so, like,
for sure.
Don't go in expecting that. I don't want you expecting that. I was like, no, like, I love you guys. Like, I'm still gonna go play. And then I had the chance of playing just a month ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And absolutely amazing. And maybe I'm biased, but I loved it. And of course, I remembered a little bit, like, some puzzles, like Doggone Alley, like the puzzles in there. I remembered some of them, and in White Rabbit, but like it still was just an amazing experience.
Yes,
and I do recommend it for like everyone. I was like, oh my god, yay! But I didn't get to play Outage though, because I do live in Orlando.
Yeah.
I love Escape Ventures, and I saw Escape Ventures and Exit Games like collaborating, and I was like, wait, this is amazing. My two favorite companies doing something together, and so I'm so happy that they did Outage down in North Carolina. That is so cool.
For sure.
Were they very like hands-on with like building? Did you get to like meet them, like build it and all that stuff?
Yeah, Derek and CJ, they are very, very proud of every ounce of energy that they put into their escape rooms, which like that's why Tay and Josh and Derek and CJ collabed with this room. Tay and Josh, they knew that they wanted to bring a room to North Carolina that was very drastically different for at least the Wilmington location, because spoiler, Outage is 60% in pitch black, so you have to rely on sense of touch for the majority of your puzzles. There are rooms like that, like I know there's what is it called, Nerd Escapes in Raleigh, North Carolina, where they have City with No Sun, where it's also a pitch black room, but you use all of your senses. So you use touch, smell, taste, and hearing. Oh yeah, the taste puzzle, I won't say anything about it. I will just say the taste puzzle. Did I gag at one point? Yes, but it's okay. It's just because something you had to taste. I was just not expecting it, and me, one of the people I was playing with, we both had the reaction of like, that was disgusting, but we know exactly what it is. But being able to collab with Derek and CJ, because we knew we wanted to bring a pitch black experience to Wilmington. I think there was one previously, but it was only there for about a year or so. But we knew we wanted to bring this aspect because it was just very different than all the escape rooms that we have in Wilmington. And so they reached out to Derek and CJ, and they were like, how would you feel if we work together, make it known that we're working together to bring this room to life in Wilmington? Obviously change a few things here and there to fit more of the Exit Games vibe rather than
I was gonna say.
For sure, yeah. And they were like, absolutely, like, we love you guys, like, we love your work, and we would be honored to help you bring this room to life. And so being able to see that from the ground up, if you go to our TikTok, you can see like literally from the ground to ceiling, the room come to life. Like, that's really, really cool. And just kind of having our rooms running in Needle and RSU, if like we were ever having a gap or anything, we would just kind of like peek it in and be like, what's going on? Like, and the cool thing is, even though we knew what the storyline was going to be and what it was going to look like, Tay and Josh are great. Well, Tay is way more better than Josh is when it comes to keeping puzzles secret. Josh is the guy. Funny. Josh is like, he'll tell you like, no, like, I don't want you to know anything. But then if he just gets excited, he's like, do you want to try the puzzle out? And I'm like, Josh, I want to be surprised. And Tay will be like, you're not trying anything. So they were able to keep all the puzzles secret from us. But we were able to see the room come to life, like literally from the ground up. So that was really cool. And Derek and CJ are absolutely phenomenal. Derek is like the creative designer. He has a background in theater, film, production set, and everything like that. So he's able to come up with the designs. And then CJ is just out of this world intelligent with the props, with the wiring, how things will be triggered and everything like that. And I asked him one day, I said, how'd you learn all this? He goes, YouTube. I was like, of course you learn everything from YouTube.
My owner said the same thing. I was like, how do you know YouTube? I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's like, crazy.
It like he'll have an idea of like how he wants to do something, and he'll just go watch YouTube videos like
that is insane.
tooth and nail. and be like, okay, yeah, this is like how it's going to make the most sense. And so I remember when they did all the wiring one day, and he was like, oh yeah, this is what it looks like. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, this is, I don't know how you do this, how you have patience for it.
Yeah.
It's like, just because we, like, it clicks for me. So, like, that's his niche, is like all the wiring, all the tech stuff. And then Derek is the one that comes up with like the creative aspect, brings the rooms to life. And so they are a great team when it comes to escape rooms. Like, it's kind of a blessing that they are in the escape room world, just because like I know that they're coming out with a new room. It's called, I believe it's called Cornstalkers.
Yes. I am waiting. I'm stalking their Instagram every day. I'm like, where is it?
Yeah, I'm actually moving to Florida pretty soon, just within like the next few months. And so I'll be only like an hour and a half away from Cornstalkers. So I might text CJ and be like, CJ,
let me come play.
I'm coming to play. And I brought it up to Tay and Josh, and they were like, you better not play Cornstalkers without us. And I was like, well, once I'm down there, like, I'll let you know when I'm going to play. Y'all better make it. But working with Derek and CJ was an absolute blessing. Like, that was really, really cool to work with them.
Did they train you on how to kind of make up the own character of like how to do Frankie?
Yeah, so Tay and Josh brought Frankie to life because they had, when Derek and CJ had their own version of Out of No Vacancy in Orlando, they had like their own version of Frankie. I think they eventually did end up naming the character Frankie.
Yeah, that's what I had when they game mastered my
Yes, for sure. But we were like, well, we're going to make it Frankie McStinky because that's a nod, once again, to our father/father-in-law. And so they were able to bring that character to life and teach us how to bring that character to life, which is like probably my favorite part of training, is with the characters we have. They were like, this is what we expect, but you can make it your own. So if you play Out of No Vacancy 7 times, no, actually 6, because Heavenly's not trained yet, which is okay. But she'll get there eventually. She's our newbie, so that's all. Yeah. But if you play that room 6 times, get 6 different game masters, you're going to have a different Frankie McStinky, which is completely fine, because you'll see where we kind of thrive and what part of the speech is our favorite, what part of the speech we're like, hey, hopefully you guys laugh with me. Cue the laugh, like, you see what I mean?
It lands.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the cool thing with training as well. It's just like we are given like not the bare minimum. They're like, they have expectations, but it's like you can bring this character to life however you want. So that's the really cool part of it.
I love that. I know they do also have a coffee shop literally also like 5 minutes down the way, and I myself got to visit it. It was so cute, so cool. Do you guys like ever work in the coffee shop or like go there on your break? Like, how's that work too?
Totally. So I remember, oh god, that was probably back in 2021, 2022. No. I'm going way too far back. Probably 2023. When Tay and Josh, I think it was me and probably 2 or 3 other game masters that were told like, hey, we have a new project. And we were like, yeah, what's the room? And they were like, it's not a room, it's a coffee shop. And we were like, what the hell? Like, what? And we were like, you want to do a coffee shop? And Tay and Josh, they walked us over to the location, which is literally right down the street. Yeah. And as they were walking there, they were like, yeah, we knew we wanted to have like a coffee shop, but we thought it was going to be like 5 or 10 years down the road. Like, once we not necessarily started to ease away from the exit games, but just kind of like, hey, we want like something new in our lives.
Yeah.
And they were walking us there and they were like, yeah, like we knew the previous owner of this shop, and they were like, hey, like, would you be interested in taking the space over? And they were like, well, we've always wanted to have a coffee shop. So they kind of just pulled the trigger. They thought it was going to be 5 years down the road. Turns out it was a year down the road that they were like, well, looks like we're bringing a coffee shop to life. And if you remember, you can look them up online, Hidden Grounds Coffee, Wilmington, North Carolina. You can see the pictures of like the outside area, which is super duper cool. You can see the inside, like it's meant to be an outside coffee shop, just because the inside, they did very well with accommodating the space. Don't get me wrong, it's tiny. Like, there's like literally 2 seats to sit inside. Yeah. So it's literally meant for you to go sit outside, have a drink, everything like that. But I remember getting there the first day, and they were telling me like, this is going to be where you order, this is what was going to be behind here, we're thinking about this theme. Dino Cowboy, which actually, I believe it wasn't Tay and Josh's idea. It was Josh's sister, Kate. So Kate is also a co-owner for Hidden Grounds Coffee.
Oh, really?
Yes, and she was the one
Cute.
that said, how do you guys feel about a collab of dinos and like outlaw, like Wild West? That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, wait, you kind of there. Like, that's a good idea. And so they kind of just ran with the idea, and that's just usually what they do is with like any idea that kind of sticks, they run with it. And so as soon as Kate said, how do you feel about Dino Cowboy? They were like, hell yeah, like that's so different than any coffee shop I've ever heard. So that's where Hidden Grounds came to life with like the dino theme. I would say it's a good balance between Dino Cowboy. When you first get there, big ass dino like inside the shop, but then you can like start to peek around and see like the Western style start to show through as well, which I think is a great balance. And I remember seeing like the slow but sure process of cleaning out the backyard, throwing in the new dirt and new walls, new greenery, everything like that, and seeing it come to life. I think that's when everybody started to get excited, and they were like, oh my god, we might have a second job. This is cool. Well, unfortunately, they quickly shut that down. They very respectfully, they were like, we love you guys at the X Games. As hard as we thought of kind of integrating you guys at the coffee shop, we want you guys to keep the love for the X Games alive. And we are just very nervous that if, like, for example, for me, if I worked at the coffee shop or the X Games, I might just start to favor one business over the other. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yes. So they were like, we don't want that to happen with you guys because we love you guys. We love you guys at the X Games as much as we would love to potentially have you guys here at Hidden Grounds. I think we want to keep this separate. Love you guys. But we totally understood. We totally understood from the get-go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and like some of the game masters that we've had in the past, they were baristas before. So like this was their first time. Like we've had game masters show up or like get hired and they've never played an escape room before. So like that's very interesting to see. But they were baristas before. So like one of our managers currently, he used to be a barista, and I don't know, I can't remember if he was like, I would love to work at Hidden Grounds, but it just made sense. It just made sense for him to work there. But as soon as we were told like, hey, let's keep it separate, totally respect it, totally get it. And hey, we go there all the time still.
I was gonna say, do you go?
So we go there all the time. Like even like on our days off, like sometimes we'll just go chill back in the Oasis in the back and just chill, hang out with Tay and Josh. Like it's cool because we also like know the majority of the baristas there. They're absolutely awesome. And like you can also tell the vibe between like the crew at the X Games. We are like your traditional love escape rooms nerd, like in the best way possible, nerd alert, D&D, bring it to life. And then you go to like the coffee shop and those are like your broskies, like vibing, beachgoers, going out, everything like that. So it's two drastically different vibes of staff between the X Games and Hidden Grounds, but we get along so beautifully. So it's very, very great to see. But with Hidden Grounds, my favorite coffee there is the Dino Campfire because it's a very good drink, but also I just think it's cute when they toast a little marshmallow that goes right on top.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yes, so it's super duper cute. What when you went to Hidden Grounds, what did you get?
I know the barista gave me her favorite. It was like a caramelly drink.
Okay, I got you. It tasted really good. It's probably the salty dino, if I had to take a guess.
I actually think it was that.
It was the salty dino. Yes, that is. I think that's the most popular drink at Hidden Grounds is the salty dino, and then I think the next one is probably I want to say the minty matcha. So like our matcha is mint chocolate chip, which is like
that's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's very very different than your typical matcha. I'm not a matcha girl, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? That actually sounds really good right now.
A minty matcha, let's do it.
Yes.
That is so cool. Yeah, so speaking of like different locations that they have you played at Clearwater, I'm assuming?
Yes. So
how was that?
Years and years and years ago, I was actually the alpha tester for pins and needles. So that was really, really sick. So me and the friend at the time that I had, it was just the two of us. Tay and Josh literally followed us around with clipboards. Like, that's like how serious they were taking it, because they had Servants of Slight, I think like a year or two before they opened Pins and Needles, and that was just such a great hit from the get-go. And so we played Servants of Slight first, so we were able to get the full realm, full character vibe, everything like that. And because I obviously had hosted White Rabbit and Doggone Alley in the past, I let my teammate take the lead on the puzzles for some of the puzzles in the room. So we were able to do that, rock it out, everything like that. There is still one aspect in Servants of Slight that you probably know what I'm talking about, but it's towards the end. It's very interactive, but you don't see a face. Yes. Okay, cool. Yes. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You don't see a face, but it's still very interactive. That was kind of like another, like, oh shit moment that I had in Doggone Alley with one of the puzzles. It wasn't necessarily a puzzle. It was just more of like you're interacting with something that's literally alive, and you're like, this is good. This is really good. Yeah. So after we played Servants, we were like, we are absolutely ready to do pins. And they were like, okay, like, just letting you know, there's going to be some puzzles in here we're still debating on taking out or keeping in. So we need you to literally think out loud. And I was like, I already do that anyway. When I'm driving, when I'm about to go to bed or anything like that. So you are in good hands. And so they give us the speech, which was fucking phenomenal. That's probably my favorite speech. That sounds biased, but that's my favorite speech out of every escape room I've done. I've done almost 60 escape rooms, which in the enthusiast world, that's nothing. But to any other, like, average person, yes, like, it's like, oh my god, that's a lot. So the speech is fucking great. For anybody who has not done Pins and Needles, just from the speech alone, you're gonna love it. But then as soon as we started, they were like, okay, we're gonna have clipboards, and just, if there's anything that feels weird, we're going to write it down. Anything that's great, we're going to write it down. So I remember getting into the second part of Pins and Needles. I want to say Hidden Needle because that's just what I'm using. But Pins and Needles, there is one puzzle where they don't use it anymore, so I can talk about it. There is a mirror wall in not the studio, but the lobby of the tattoo shop. And they had eyeball stickers on different mirrors, and they wanted you to look at the mirrors, see the eyeballs, and in the mirror behind you is a tattoo, like, pin-up wall, and they wanted you to match up the eyeball on the mirror to the one photo behind you and see what number it was, and that would have given you a code. I said, Tay and Josh, that's fucking great. It's probably not gonna fly with a lot of groups. And they were like,
that is very complex.
Yes, we were like, I was like, that, like, I got it, but the guy that I was playing with, he had no idea. Like,
he was like, what are you looking at?
He was like, what are you looking at? And I was like, I get it, but sadly, like, that's like part of beta testing where it's like so heartbreaking because it is your bosses. You have to be transparent and be like, that's not gonna fly. Even for a Clearwater, Florida room, it's not going to fly. So, like, that was heartbreaking to say, but they were like, that's one of the puzzles that we were debating on keeping, so don't stress. So they immediately just kind of, like, crossed it out on their list and, like, we're just going to take it out, don't worry about it, we'll figure something out. And they ended up coming up with something great. But then beta testing, or alpha testing through Pins and Needles, there's Skins, who, that's not a spoiler or anything, because it's literally described in, like, the description. We didn't get the full realm of Skins. They just basically described to us what it was going to look like, how he was going to interact with you, everything like that. And so alpha testing the first time was very unique, just because I've never done an escape room where people are literally following you around with clipboards. But then at the very, very back end of Pins and Needles, they didn't tell us, but they used all of the game masters from the Wilmington location in this room. So they were able to make that connection between the Wilmington rooms and their Clearwater rooms, just by using our names. for.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yes. So like, have you played Pins and Needles?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there's a part at the very end where you kind of see maybe or maybe not body parts that have names.
Oh
That's
my
all of
god,
us.
that is so cool.
That's all of us.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's all of us. Basically, they
OMG.
matched us to a specific element in the room, and they were like, "This is like what we think we would vibe with." And they did not tell us until I went through the room. And so I saw my name, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And they were like,
wait, is that me? I
was like,
love
"That's
that.
so cool." So yeah, so that was just like one of a million reasons why I love to this day. Like, I probably will always will.
Yeah.
It was just having that tiny little of like, hey, by the way, you're in the room, and I was like,
yeah.
So beta testing the first time was very unique. It was very interesting. Thankfully, I had the opportunity to go back and play fully through Pins and Needles with the full character, full realm brought to life. Yes, so I was able to go back, like, I think like 2 or 3 years later, with another teammate, and I knew what was about to happen, but he didn't. And so our game master, his name is Silvercloud, which I think is just freaking sick name. But Silvercloud, he was our host, and we were able to see Pins come to life, and that was phenomenal. That was sick, just because I knew what was about to happen. My other player did not have any idea, and we were like jumping each other's laps, like trying to get away from Pins. We were not having it, but Silvercloud brought that to life. That was really sick.
I love that.
But having the opportunity to play down in Florida was great. And I know that they have hinted on their website for Clearwater, Florida.
I've seen.
I'm
waiting.
I may or may not know what the theme is, but I'll keep that a secret for everybody. But once again, Team Josh hit the nail on the head with bringing something drastically different to life. They have told me, and like the thing that they have told me, I was like, once again, you're getting that Terpeco award. You're getting those morning reviews. You're getting on that. You're getting on those awards.
Getting on it. Yeah, so I know they're very popular in the industry. Did you see that like unfold in real time when you were working at the Exit Games in North Carolina, like the popularity of servants and pins?
Yes, so that's the cool thing is, so ironically, when I first started working at the X Games in Wilmington, I didn't meet Team Josh face to face for 6 months because they were bringing servants to life. So they were down in, so like when I did my interview and everything, it was over Zoom, and they were down in Florida, and they were like, we're actually bringing a new location to life. So that was the first time that I heard them say, hey, we're bringing Clearwater location to life. We have Wilmington, but we want to do Clearwater. And so for 6 months, like, it was training through just previous game masters, managers, everything like that. And when I finally met them, they had finished Servants of Slight, and so they were able to come back to Wilmington for a little bit. But of course, they had to go back and make sure everything was hit the ground running, everything was smooth for Servants of Slight. But being able to see, like, through their social media, through their personal descriptions of like how the room was going, that was really rewarding, almost, of like being able to work for these people who not just love escape rooms, but are just fucking great at building them or bringing them to life. They just have those ideas. They literally have notebooks full of ideas, and they just have like notebooks, and I'm like, how do you guys come up with ideas? And Josh was like, I could just be walking through IKEA, see a piece of furniture, and be like, that would look cool in this theme of an escape room. Wait, that would be a cool theme.
What? That's crazy.
That's just how it works. And I'm like, I was like, I could never do that. And so, thankfully, Tate was brought into the escape room world through Josh, because they met in college sweethearts. Well, their love story is actually very, very cute. Basically, Josh and Kate, Kate is one of the co-owners. Josh and Kate are siblings.
Yes.
Tay was Kate's best friend. They have been best friends since childhood. So it was the literal story of best friend's brother.
I love that.
Yeah, so his best friend's brother. So they met through Kate. Josh knew he wanted to dive into the escape room world while he was in college. and then was like, hey, Tay, like, do you want to do this with me? And she was like, hell yeah. And so they've just been hitting the ground running ever since. But being able to see their success, not just with the Wilmington locations, but especially with the rooms down in Florida, that's almost rewarding to say, like, yeah, they're like my bosses. And so, like, it's only been a few times where I'm like, yeah, like, I go to another escape room and I'm like, yeah, like, I'm a game master as well. And they're like, oh, for what? And I say the exit games, and they kind of just like perk up. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's
like royalty.
Yeah. So that's like really, really cool to say, like, yeah, like, we have Tay and Josh, we have the X Games. Like, that's super rewarding.
I love that. Yeah, for sure. So I know you said you were moving to Florida. Are you going to be still working in the escape room industry, or do you have other endeavors?
Sadly, I think I will be parting ways with the escape room world working there, just because I feel like I have gotten everything that I absolutely wanted and needed from an escape room world.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, I don't think I'll ever be able to portray Tay and Josh working at another escape room. I don't think I'll ever be able to portray them and do that. Will I still continue to do escape rooms? Absolutely. That will never ever go away. Like, I love, like, some of my closest friends, I was able to introduce them to escape rooms because I hosted them for their first room. And they were like, this is what escape rooms is all about. And I'm like, hell yeah. Well, anyway, but I'm able to introduce my friends through escape rooms. And then when I say, let's go to an escape room, they're like, hell yeah. If it's with you, you know what you're talking about when we go play escape rooms. Like, you're going to bring us something good. And so, like, the last room that we all did together was City with No Sun at Nerd Escape Rooms. And that was great. That was the one, pitch black, taste, smell, everything in the between.
I'll have to add that to my list.
Yes, it's good. It's for sure good. And it's super cool because, like, it's in the escape room. Nerd Escapes is 3 old houses, historic houses. There you go. 3 historic houses side by side, and in each of the houses is 2 escape rooms that are different. So like, they're like, when you book, they're like, go into the blue house or go into the red house, and I'm like,
I love that.
But yeah, but overall, I do think I will be parting ways from working in an escape room. I think I've just done as much as I could out of it and more, especially because of Tay and Josh. Like, I will never be able to thank them enough for, 1, hiring me, 2, giving me those experiences of where we can help collaborate and build an escape room. Because, like, in Hidden Needle, for example, they were trying to come up with an idea for a puzzle, and I was like, have you thought of this? And they were like, no, we haven't thought of it. And they were just like nonchalant about it. A week later, they were like, hey, Nico, come here. And they brought that aspect to life. And I was like,
I love that.
And they were like, hell yeah, like, that was a good idea. So
I love that.
even Hidden Needle, the name Hidden Needle Tattoo Parlor was from one of our game masters, Gigi.
Really?
So Gigi was the one that actually came up with the idea of the name, because they were like, hey, we're doing this room based off pins and needles down in Florida, but we need a name. Do you guys have any ideas? And they thought of it within 30 seconds. They said, Hidden Needle Tattoo Parlor. And I think we kind of just all looked at each other. We were like, Gigi, that was genius. That was genius. So smart. So we kind of just stuck with it and ran with it. So if I ever went back into the escape room world, I would, I guess, expect the same. And so sadly, if I didn't get the same, I'd be really disappointed. But it's just because Tay and Josh have it, like, far beyond exceeding my expectations as owners, bosses, escape room enthusiasts, everything of the sort. So when I do move down to Florida, I'm mainly moving for school. I'm going back to school for radiology. But I wouldn't be surprised if years and years down the road, the idea of, hey, what if I brought an escape room to life came to life? I would be able to go to Tay and Josh and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Would you guys, like, not help me build the room, but just give me feedback of, like, hey, is this a good thing? And they would absolutely love it, just because they know that I share the same amount of love for escape rooms as they do. So I think they would really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's so amazing and heartfelt to hear that, like, other escape room owners are really there for their game masters and, like, family vibes. And especially, I love hearing, like, popular escape rooms and ones that are very known in the industry being so good to their game masters.
Oh my god, yes.
So important. Because I myself, before I worked at Doldricks, I worked at another escape room company that wasn't really doing too well,
Yeah.
especially towards me. And so when I left and went to Doldricks, it was like totally different other vibe, and it changed my way of like, okay, wait, this is how they're supposed to treat you. This is how we're supposed to act.
Literally,
Okay.
yes.
And I hear from other game masters as well. They had a similar experience as I did in the past, and then they find their home escape
Yes.
room, and then they're like, okay, we're good. Like, we're here. So
No, literally, yeah. For the Exit Games, so like, yeah, I started working there when I was 18. I'm now 24. I started working
I
there
grew
when
up
I was,
with you.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But there was times where I had to break the news to St. John's, like, hey, I may be leaving because of school. Hey, I may be leaving because of another job opportunity that relates more to the major that I'm currently in. And they were, of course, upset, but they were like, if you ever want to come back, please do it. Like, we love you. We know that you thrive here. And I think it was the first time it was for a school/job opportunity, where I took the opportunity, ran with it, and didn't love it. And I was really sad about it. And thankfully I was able to like go do an escape room downtown, but I decided to stop in the X game, say hey to everyone. And within 30 seconds, I texted Tay and Josh. I said, can I come back? And they were like, Nico, I thought you would never ask, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And they were like, of course you can come back. And so like
that's so sweet.
Yeah, so like I was able to come back, jump right back into it. And then the second time that it happened was actually truly for school. Like I had to complete an internship for school. And I actually did my internship with the city of Clearwater. And guess what? Clearwater. Yeah. So it was right there. And so I kept Tay and Josh in the loop for the entire process of going through the interview for the internship, everything like that. And they were so graciously like nice to say, hey, we have a house in St. Pete. You're more than welcome to stay there for your internship. And I was like, oh my God, like who does that? Yeah. So I was like, who does that? And so like I was able to stay. Obviously I paid rent, don't get me wrong. I was like, I'm paying you guys rent. And they were like, oh yeah. But I was able to stay there for months in their house in St. Pete, which I did not know how much I loved St. Pete until I stayed there. If I ended up permanently moving to Florida, it would be in St. Pete. There's no questions asked. St. Pete's great. But being able to stay in St. Pete and travel to my internship and everything, literally 30 minutes down the road was the escape room. And so they were like, hey, if you like ever want to pop in and like get a few hours under your belt. I was like, hey Josh, these are like drastically different rooms than our rooms out in Wilmington. I don't think I would be able to do them justice. But just having that opportunity of like, hey, like if you need to leave for a second, you're good, but we want you to come back. Like just hearing that from a boss is rare. And so just being able to get that, just being able to get that from St. Josh is phenomenal for sure.
I love to hear that. That's so warming to hear. So we're gonna do fire questions.
Go.
Just like
I'm ready.
Okay, so what is your favorite escape room, just in general?
Oh God, Servants of Slight.
Servants of Slight. Okay. Have you ever traveled out of the country to play an escape room?
So not purposefully. I traveled to Dublin, Ireland in February and found the escape boat.
I played there too.
Yes,
oh my God.
So I did the escape boat with my best friend. That was sick. So that was the first one I ever did outside the country.
Okay, perfect. How long does it take to reset a room, and what's your fastest time?
Oh, so we try to get it under 10 minutes. The fastest I've ever done a reset with an assistant, like with another game master with me, was 2.5 minutes.
Oh wait, which one was that one?
White Rabbit.
Okay. Any escape rooms on your Morty wish list? One that you really want to play?
Cornstalkers, of course.
Yes,
Cornstalkers is definitely the one that jumps out. And then there is one, I believe it's either in Las Vegas or no. Just kidding. It's in California. Project Minotaur. That's on my list for sure.
Okay. What's the common mistake players make while playing an escape room?
Holy shit. Not stretching their brains enough. Like they want to think one way with a puzzle, and you have to think another way, and that's where they get stuck. That's literally the only reason. So when it comes to playing an escape room, when I hear groups say they have experienced players and newbies in the room, I'm like, that's a blessing in disguise, because experienced players may have one way of thinking. Newbies have to think any way that they can. they'll bring that new perspective in, and you're good. So just not being able to stretch your brain in a certain way, that's probably the biggest thing.
I agree. Okay, any food recommendations nearby your exit games location?
Oh, for sure. Fun Bowl ramen and pho is
Oh, I think I had that actually.
Oh my god,
With the boba?
fantastic!
Yeah, it was good.
Fantastic. Fun Bowl, Yosaki, which is a sushi bar, and then probably Hell's Kitchen.
Okay, Hell's Kitchen. Oh, I saw that actually walking by. It's on that strip. Yeah. Okay, what's your favorite and most challenging part of being a game master?
Oh, my favorite part is for sure bringing RSU to life. The hangover RSU being RA. That's my favorite part. The most challenging is probably when a prop breaks and you have to literally think on the spot of how to keep running the room and how you're going to fix it before the next room is there. Don't get me wrong, there's sometimes where like we literally just can't fix it because it's like a tech issue or something like that. But that's where like your knowledge and creativity come to life in the escape room, because every single one of us has had to fix something on the spot. And being able to do that, it can be challenging, but it's very rewarding when it actually works.
Yeah, for sure. And then last question, any other favorite escape rooms in the North Carolina area that after they play the exit games, they can go and play after?
For sure. I know there is one in Hickory, and I can't, Nocturne Escapes is fantastic. Okay, Nocturne Escapes is great. Nerd Escapes is great. Breakout Escape Rooms is a chain, but I know the ones that I have played in, I think in Greensboro and Raleigh, some of those have been phenomenal. But I would definitely push for Nocturne Escapes.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yes,
I'm so excited to get
this
out. Yeah, I appreciate it. Did you want to plug any of your Instagram or social media out to the public?
Absolutely. So for the Exit Games in Wilmington, literally just look up the Exit Games. You'll find us on TikTok. You'll find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook as well. For Clearwater, it's the Exit Games FL. So the abbreviation for Florida at the very end. You'll be able to find us there on Instagram and on Facebook. I don't think they have a TikTok down in Florida, but it's okay. They'll come around. But yeah, but it's very easy to find us, the Exit Games or the Exit Games FL.
Thank you so much for stopping by with us today. This is Tori with the story.